Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybook Family Farm. This weekend, man, we did a ton of work. I am honestly really sore from how much we did just to get ready for the cold snap. Now, we didn't have to do a whole lot of stuff for the animals because this winter has been such a cold winter to begin with that pretty much all of our stuff was already ready to go. We've had so many other really big cold snaps this year alone. This has probably been like the coldest winter of my lifetime. We've had several times where the real feel has been like in the negative digits or even close to the negative teens. This morning it was the coldest we've had so far yet this year because, well, the real feel was I think negative 15 degrees this morning. And a neat thing kind of happened while I was milking the goat. The milk, as it was coming through the milk machine in the little tube things, some of it actually started freezing. So that was kind of neat to see. I'm curious to see if on a Wednesday morning if I'll have to milk out by hand. I hope not, because my hands are very sore right now. Which leads me into all the preparations that we made for the cold snap. Now, like I said, we didn't have to do a whole hell of a lot for the animals just because of the fact that they all have fur. They all are already living outside. They already, their huts, their shelters and things of that nature were pretty much ready to go because throughout all the other cold snaps, I've gone, I need to make this modification or that modification, or I need to do this, that, or the other to try to help the animals out. So the only thing that I really did for the animals was I ended up tacking up several more feed bags to the rabbit enclosures, just so that way it basically created a skirt around the bottom part of the cages, so then less air could come up from underneath, and just doing my best to try to make it so that way it could sort of shelter them better from the wind. Where they're at right now currently, there is a lot of wind that comes off of that field across the road to begin with. So they don't really get much of a break from that, whereas all the other animal shelters are all strategically put further back on the property. So they're also getting a lot more protection from the wind. There's also the hillside, and then there's also all the trees back there. So those animals are in much better shape than the rabbits are. So that's part of what has me stressed out a little bit is the rabbits. I'm honestly, like I said, I'm really not worried about the goats or the chickens. The ducks and the geese, even when it's cold like this, they still prefer to go lay outside in the snow instead of like going into a barn or a shelter. So it's kind of silly. When we first got the ducks, I remember the first cold front that there was, and this was, like 3 years ago. It was kind of funny because we ended up making the ducks go back into the chicken coop because we were like, man, it is way too cold. Like, these idiots are going to give themselves frostbite and stuff. But yeah, we've learned since then that just let them do their thing, that they'll be fine. But so anyway, so that was all the preparations that I made for the animals for the cold front, besides also, grabbing extra hay and things of that nature to let everybody have more bedding. So it wasn't really any big deal for that. But the biggest thing that we needed to focus on actually was getting our house ready for the cold front. So as you guys know, when we bought this place almost 2 years ago, there was no heat here. So we ended up getting a wood stove and trying to go that route with heat. But we've since learned that, kind of makes it difficult to get homeowners insurance when you heat with wood. Makes it so then that way it kind of ties us up for future endeavors if we don't have an actual regular heat source. So plus two, the other big thing is that our wood stove, even though it is rated to do 1,200 square feet and our house is just a little over 1,000 square feet, it's not oversized enough to be able to compensate for 100-year-old windows in this house when it's this cold. Granted, our house does have insulation. At some point we might replace the windows. We might not. That's not high on my priority list because all the broken ones are fixed or removed. And it's really not high on my priority list, especially when we heat with wood. So, it's kind of nice to have a draft coming through in different areas at some points. But the big issue was we didn't have adequate heat in the kitchen or in the bathroom, which obviously those are rooms with plumbing in them. Not a good situation for it to get super duper cold in there. Throughout the different cold snaps that we've had this year already, it's been several times that the kitchen is only in the low 50s by morning time. And then we're pretty much just trying to make jerky or canning stuff or doing a bunch of cooking and things of that nature to try to help heat the kitchen back up. Or we've plugged in a space heater to try to help with it, which we knew that wasn't a good long-term solution. So this year we ended up buying a newer mini split that could heat down to colder temperatures. But with how cold it's going to be, it's still too cold for that to work. So we ended up getting some of those baseboard heaters, not the kind that you plug into the wall, the kind that you actually wire into your breaker box. So I ended up doing that this weekend, which honestly, I don't really care for doing electrical. I've gotten most of the entire house rewired. That's probably next weekend's project, or in a couple weeks that I'll finish the wiring out in the house. The whole main level is completely done. The only thing that's not done is we don't have any actual working lights or light switches upstairs. But I do have the wire. There is outlets and stuff like that. We have lamps up here. That's what we've been using for the last almost 2 years, is just lamps, which really gets annoying. It sucks having to use the flashlight on your phone to then walk all the way across the room to then turn on a little lamp, and it's better than nothing. It's, I'm very grateful that we have the electricity, that we have the lamps and all that stuff. But anyways, so running the wiring for them heaters was awful. Like, not because it was a difficult task to do, it's just because I have so many problems with my hands and my joints that it is extremely physically demanding and painful for me to work with electricity, especially whenever it's 10 gauge wire. So to be quite honest, like, that's why I'm not holding the phone, because it honestly was causing a lot of pain for me just to try to grip the tripod to hold my phone up so that way I could film. So it is what it is. I'll gotta just roll with the punches, I suppose. But yeah, that project was a doozy to do, but it made it so that way we have an actual heat source now. We put a 6-foot heater in the laundry room, which is rated to do like 175 square feet, which is more than enough for the laundry room and the kitchen combined, because that's, I think when we measured it out to do the flooring, it was like 160 square feet. It's not a very big space to have the kitchen in the laundry room and the back door, and yeah, it's not very functional, but it is what it is. And then we put one in the bathroom, just like a 30-incher, which is adequate to do the bathroom, which is going to be really nice. It was really nice this morning when I showered to actually have heat in the bathroom with the door closed. That's been nice. And to also get up in the middle of the night and have heat in there, that was a treat. To be quite honest, like, I don't think I've realized how much we've like sacrificed and struggled through this whole process, this last 3 years of us living in the camper, and then last almost 2 years of living here, that there's been so many things that we've done without, or just skimped and scraped by, or sacrificed on this or sacrificed on that, that now, like, being like, we have heat like in all the house, like, wow, this is weird. Like, I keep thinking about that, and I keep realizing, like, my God, we've lived like savages. Like, this is like, I know it's something silly, but like, to look at how much, like, when we lived in the camper, we didn't have running water at all. Like, we had to go up to my in-laws' house to get a gallon of water anytime we wanted a drink or anything like that. We couldn't wash our hands. We couldn't brush our teeth. We, couldn't do a number 2 in there and stuff. We could, but I mean, nobody wants to clean that up. Like, water is much preferred for that. But like, just looking back at all the things that we've sacrificed on and scrimped on and like all that stuff to be able to get up in the middle of the night to go pee and not freeze in the bathroom was huge last night. Like, it was just like mind blown. Like, yeah, it's going to cost money to, have the heaters running and stuff, but just to have that level of comfort and convenience, it's kind of like how when we first got this place and we ended up replumbing it so that way we had water, and I had to run a bunch of electricity so that way we had electrical to turn the water on. How both of us just wanted to cry whenever we washed our hands for the first time in our own house. How I cried in the shower because I was just so in awe of finally having it. Doing this project with the heat is kind of like the same thing for me, of just this like, oh, thank God it's done. Like, we have heat now. Like, this is just such a level of peace that I keep feeling, despite being in a lot of physical discomfort. But yeah, I am definitely glad that is done and over with, that we don't have to worry about that anymore. We're probably never going to use these heaters once the cold snap is done and over with, just because of the fact that we have plenty of firewood and stuff. Like, we're golden on that. But yeah, it's a nice feeling to know that we're going to be fine, that we don't have to stress out and stuff, especially because last year I remember how scared we were coming into the winter time, especially when it started getting really cold, because we had nowhere near enough wood. We didn't have the money to buy more wood. And we had no idea how much we would need. And then magically, when the cold front started last year, there was a really big locust tree that was dead standing that actually fell down, made it so that way we had more than enough firewood. We actually are using some of that firewood this year to help us get us through this snap too. So it's kind of neat how it all worked out, how everything just sort of has fallen into place for us and stuff. So anyways, that's it for today. I'm going to try to really rest my hands up. They are, I don't know if you guys can tell in the camera there, but they're pretty swelled up today. Last night my thumb was so swollen and stuff, like at this knuckle here, that like I could barely move it. So it's not kind on my hands at all, or on my body to do projects at this capacity. But you know, I mean, it wasn't like this was a project that we could stop in the middle of and wait a couple days till it got warmer out to finish, because that would kind of defeat the purpose of doing it. So, but it's definitely nice to have a kitchen that's significantly warmer than 50 degrees. So anyways, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.